So ain't nothing changed from yesterday. Still the same person I was yesterday, and I got the same thing for you that I had yesterday. You know why I'm here.
You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it. That's the great thing about sports. You play to win. And I don't care if you don't have any wins. You go play to win. When you start telling me it doesn't matter, then retire. Get out. Because it matters.
Good morning. How are you on this Thursday? We got a lot of stuff going on here for sure in the world of sports, and we're excited to talk about it with you here on X's and BrO's throughout the state of Michigan. My name is Matt Shepard. Meyer hotline is 866-838-4843. The text line is sports radio to 21,000. The Tigers win again, 5-1. Again, it's Spencer Torkelson helping lead the way, 2 for 2, reached base 4 times, actually, because he had a couple of walks. That's probably one of the most encouraging. Look, the power is there for sure. And the run production is there for sure. But his eye at the plate, spitting on the right pitches, right? Seeing it out of the pitcher's hands. It sure seems like he's got that part down in a much better way. Dylan Dingler also went 2 for 4. We were just talking about him earlier in the week. Sure, Jake Rogers is back. Dylan Dingler has become a very effective offensive player for this team. 5 different Tigers driving a run. Detroit is now won 15 of their last 20. They begin a 7-game homestand, starting with Cleveland tonight, who beat Minnesota last night. So this will be fun. First time that these two teams clash this year. NBA playoffs, unbelievably wild. It's just, you're watching that game and you can't help but wonder. New York did it to Boston. New York did it to Detroit. And now they had it done to them. And that is the comeback. You're thinking, these are some of the greatest comebacks that we have seen in NBA playoff history, for crying out loud. Indiana's been in the middle of it. That's what it is. It's been 2 teams that seem to have owned the fourth quarter, but New York forgot how to do that last night. Pacers shocked them in overtime. If you turned it off like I did, you're watching it and you're seeing New York's up 14 with 2:50 left. The Knicks were up 14 points with just under 3 minutes to go. Their win probability was 99.8%. Okay? With just a little under 4 minutes left. But still, you figure a team that has the type of experience that it does, some of the big-time shots and closing moments that it has produced, a coach who is, I think it's fair to say, more defensive-minded than anything else. That has been his reputation. Lockdown, right? And they fall apart. Way too many of their 15 turnovers late. And defensive lapses. Just completely lost players. Indiana gets 31 points, 11 assists from Tyrese Haliburton. His step-back jumper at the buzzer to tie it and force overtime was fortuitous because it hit the back of the iron, bounced away high, and then came down. He thought it was a game winner. I think everybody did. Kevin Harlan on TNT sure thought it was. He called it. Game is over. Reggie Miller's laughing. There's a long pause, an extremely long pause. Then they recognize that it was a 2. That's quite an emotional flip if you're Indiana, isn't it? You go from thinking you've just won the game to, now we've got overtime, and the other team still has life. But they took care of business. The Pacers used a 23-9 run at the end of regulation to get the job done. This is an incredible statistic. NBA teams since 1997, down 7, down 7 with under a minute left, were 4 and 1,658. That's a lot of numbers. So I'll say it again. Down 7 with under a minute to go. 4 and 1,658. Obviously, Indiana now with 5 wins, or the win to make it 5 teams. Jalen Brunson, by the way, led everybody with 43. Karl Anthony Towns chipped in 35. Here's another one for you. This is how significant it is historically. Teams leading by 14 points in the final 2:45 of the fourth quarter had been 994-0. So the Pacers are the first team since 1997 to trail by 14 with less than 3 minutes to go and win. Amazing. I always wonder in a game like that, who mentally does it affect more? New York played really well. I mean, you don't build a huge lead like that if you're not playing well, right? They stumbled down the stretch. They know what it takes to win down the stretch because they've done it, as I've mentioned earlier. But I do wonder how that affects you mentally from a New York standpoint and from an Indiana standpoint. So the Indiana win is really impressive. But I can't help but think, does it lull you into a sense of security where it's okay if we're down 15, 16, 17, 18 points. We've shown time and time again that we can come back. It's great that you've been able to show that. It's great that you've been able to overcome that type of in-game adversity. But en route to that, you're not doing something right. Are you building bad habits? What is the biggest struggle you have in a situation like that? And why can't you rectify it earlier? Not to be nitpicky, you take the win, man, for sure. I love what many of the players said for Indiana afterwards. I mean, it literally is, I think Tyrese Halliburton said it, this feels like a college team. We're so close, okay? What did I say yesterday? This is a team, if you're a Pistons fan, you can root for, so on and so forth. They play a lot like Detroit. They don't have a lot of stars. And I'm referring to past Detroit teams. But I told you the story of Trajan Langdon when I was in Toronto calling the Raptors and Pistons earlier this year on TV. Trajan Langdon told me he got his guys together early because he wanted it to feel like a college atmosphere. Remember? And then you got a guy like Tyrese Halliburton who had a massive game with 31 points and 11 assists. Aaron Nesmith had 30. And he's saying the same thing, that this team feels like it's a college team. They're so close with one another. That's pretty special. That's really cool. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was named most valuable player, the second Canadian to ever win it, Steve Nash being the first. It's his first award. He finished second last year to Nikola Jokic. Alexander led the league in scoring, career best 32.7 points per game, shot 52% from the field, and a career high 37.5% from three. Nikola Jokic finished second. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the program, where Cade Cunningham finished, how positive an effect that might be moving forward as well. At 8:35, we will break down a little bit with BJ Rains, who's the publisher of Bronco Nation out in Boise and a 4-time Boise State Writer of the Year. He's going to join us to talk a little bit more about Ahmed Hassanein, the 6th-round pick for the Detroit Lions. The hockey story when we come back, the Mitch Lyons wealth poll question, and a whole lot more as we just get rolling on a Thursday morning across the great state of Michigan on the Michigan Sports Network.
Imagine this, a day filled with indulgence, bursting with excitement, and packed with extraordinary moments that build memories to last a lifetime. A day that is unmistakably yours, at the place that is undeniably spectacular. Whether you're winning big, dining lavishly, or relaxing oh so comfortably, it's your getaway reimagined at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
The stock market has been all over the place, and if you're nearing or in retirement, it's probably got you nervous. Will you have enough to retire? Are you worried about running out of money? Are you sick of hearing, just ride it out? What can you do differently to ensure that you have enough to retire comfortably with an income that's guaranteed to last your lifetime? Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, and I've got great news for you today. I'm a featured expert in a groundbreaking film called The Retirement Deception. This film reveals exactly how you can create a guaranteed income with your nest egg protected from market volatility. Wall Street may not want you to see this film, but I do want you to see it at no cost. That's right. It's absolutely free when you call today. I want you to know the truth about retirement. A secure retirement is achievable. Call today to speak with one of our retirement specialists to get your free copy of The Retirement Deception. Call 866-85-STEEL. That's 866-857-8335. Again, 866-857-8335. Or go to MitchLyonsWealth.com. Your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
Every day you have to come ready to play, and we do. So we, after the first game here, obviously the most important game of the year was the next day. We get that win, and then come today, chance to win a series. We do it, and we needed a lot of guys to do well for the last 2 days. And so, whether it's today with the bullpen game, middle of our order, offensive days, the last 2 days have been great. Big hits with 2 outs so that we can use Brisky for 2 and we rest Tommy for tomorrow. So there's just a lot of moving parts that, set us up for winning a series today and going into the next one.
AJ Hinch following the win in St. Louis to win another series. Won 3 of their last 4 series were on the road. What they've been able to do on the road, really impressive. Everything they've done, everything might be too generic, but you really feel that way, don't you? I mean, just about everything they've done. Let me ask you this. When you look at this team, and they're 33-17, so the 33 wins is, 4 wins clear of the best in the American League. Their 33 wins are 2 games clear, 2 wins clear in all of baseball. Philadelphia and the Dodgers each have 31. What is it about this team that makes you go, I'm not quite sure yet? So we're at, when you're at 33-17, you're at 50 games. I think it's fair. I've reserved judgment. I know people will be like, well, you're pretty late to the table. I've said they're the best team in baseball. Dodgers, for me, little difficult to look at that lineup, even the Phillies lineup. But best team record-wise in baseball, I think they're the best team in the American League. Baseball might be a little bit of a stretch just because of what I said. So I ask you, what about this team would give you pause? Injuries? You could say that with every team. Detroit might have a smaller margin of error. The only thing that I've said, and this is nitpicking, okay, because I praised this team about the improved home runs. Torkelson's got 12, Green's got 12, Carpenter's got 10. The offensive punch from second base has been really impressive. Torkelson at first base, and then you got Torres and Cole Keith, and AJ Hinch has done a masterful job of making sure Keith is in the flow of things after a guy who had struggled mightily. I mean, the overreaction that many of us, I group myself in there, can have when it comes to baseball is ridiculous at times. It is one of those things where we just got to send everybody down anytime they might be struggling. What does he do yesterday? Make sure Cole Keith is in there. He gets a hit, drives in a run, scores a run as well, goes 1 for 3. Numbers aren't great. We understand that. I think he's batting 2 1/4. But keeping the confidence there, making sure you feel like you're part of something. There's a balance there. There's a delicate balance with this team. Let's not fool ourselves. We say all the time, we want everyday players. Well, he's got some. How do you make sure those who you view as a possible everyday player, like a Cole Keith, you keep engaged? Because the easy thing to do would be let's just go Torkelson at first, and let's go Torres at second. Let's go Sweeney at short. We'll put a question mark at third. We'll have Green in left. We'll have Baez in center, I guess. We'll have Carpenter in right. We'll have Dingler behind the plate. Let's just do that, and then we'll rotate the McKinstry's and the Ibanez's and players like that. Okay, you've got to keep certain guys engaged and feeling like they're part of something, making sure they can get their way out of any slump they may be in or struggles they may have. Let them see those disappear. And at the same time, put your best lineup out there and win games. It's not an easy thing to do. Putting together a team is not easy. It's not easy in any sport. Putting together an NFL team is really hard. We've said this before, and that's why yesterday I said I wouldn't play my guys in this flag football Olympic event. I know the NFL feels like it's really important. From a team standpoint, I care about my team, and I want to win a championship. I don't want Amon-Ra St. Brown or Jahmyr Gibbs participating in that. That's in 2028, so we don't have to worry about it. But putting together a team is really hard. So the Tigers have been able to do that, and A.J. Hinch does it probably better than any manager in baseball. His ability to put together these types of teams and then it's hard to keep everybody happy because everybody wants to play all the time, but that's what he's been able to do. What's the one thing that makes you shake your head and go, I still think this needs fixing? No team is perfect, okay? It's probably, and we've said this for a while, and hopefully things are going to change soon, it's probably third base. The home runs are up. The great storylines of Baez coming back, and Baez he still has a lot of the same issues that he had before. The difference is that he's hitting breaking balls. He's hitting over 300 on breaking balls. That's the difference. So it's a great story with Torkelson. It's a great story with Baez. It's a great story with Casey Mize when he's healthy. So overall, it's an A-plus story in Detroit right now. The power, as we mentioned, third base is probably the weakest part. Not even probably. From a production standpoint, you're not getting it. Will you get it when you get Matt Vierling back? Good question. Really good question. Don't know. You don't just jump into the lineup and, let's pick up where we left off last year when you had a career high in home runs and everything's well. So we'll see what happens there. But that's the one part. Torkelson's at-bats yesterday, his plate appearances, I always used to get ripped on because I'd say, 4 at-bats tonight. He's 2 for 2 and on base twice. Well, it's not an at-bat. It's a plate appearance. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, we know that. Okay. Let's get technical. Torkelson's ability to do just that has been one of the more impressive things we've seen all year long. It made me wonder while I'm watching him do this yesterday, for all those who doubted him, and you had good reason to do it, overreaction to say, I'm done with him, get rid of him. But the doubt in the back of your mind, completely legitimate. My question is, at what point does a player who you've distrusted now give you the benefit of the doubt? In other words, we'll use Torkelson or Baez. Those are easy. Mize too, if you want. Those are easy examples. Those are the best examples. A guy that you weren't sold on. And now he's gotten off to this great start. Through 50 games, both those guys have had really good starts. All 3 of them, great starts. If they hit a slump, do you take a deep breath and say, it's okay, I believe in him, I think he'll come out of it? Or during that slump, you say, man, see, I was right all along. I had good reason to doubt him, and now I'm doubting him again. What does it take for a player to gain or even regain your belief in them? Meyer hotline is 866-838-4843. Or you can text the program Sports Radio to 21,000. I did not finish the headlines. Dallas scores 5 times in the third. They come back. They beat Edmonton 6-3. They scored 3 power play goals in a 5.5-minute span. Edmonton, I'm watching that game. It's 3-1. I'm like, man, Edmonton is so good. I even tweeted it out. Just love watching them skate, and I do. They're so good. They're so deep. Dallas just keeps plugging away, man. Tyler Seguin had 2 goals and an assist. Dallas has now won 7 straight playoff games at home. That was incredible. It really was. I was blown away. Lions have signed first-round pick Tyler Williams to a 4-year contract worth $16.5 million, including an $8.6 million signing bonus. And the NFL owners failed to get the necessary votes to discontinue the tush push. Any proposal needs at least 24 votes, but the Packers' proposal to ban the play received only 22. The Lions were among those voting against the proposed ban. We will get to that when we come back. Plus, our Mitch Lyons Wealth Poll question of the day. We're here on a Thursday morning. Glad you're with us on X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive, boys and girls, high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 12th through 15th at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Saturday, August 23rd, it's the Summer of 99 Tour. Creed, live at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. With special guest Mammoth WVH. Plus Hinder. Tickets start at $56 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. Creed with Mammoth WVH and Hinder. Rock the Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series August 23rd. Showtime 7 p.m. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Philly obviously is known for this because, you know, they're the ones who've really kind of perfected it and done it and do it over and over. And I'm like, man, good for them, man. If you got something, we got to stop it. So, like, to me, leave it in. And, you know, we plan this year. We got to find a way to stop it. And I like that.
It's another reason why so many people like Dan Campbell. I mean, sure, shooting from the hip, believing in his guys, the toughness angle, absolutely. There's no self-pity here. And why should there be? Welcome back, X's and Bros, Monday through Friday, 6 until 9, 35 after the hour. I'm Matt Shepard. At 8:35, we will be joined by Bronco Nation writer B.J. Rains. He writes out in Boise, and he's fully aware of the abilities of Ahmed Hassanin, who was now one of the latest Detroit Lions, 6th-round pick. So we'll talk to him about what the Lions are getting there. By the way, our Mitch Lions Wealth poll question of the day: do you agree with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander winning the MVP over Nikola Jokic? Simple yes or no. You can vote as often as you want. At XB Mornings, we'll give you the results tomorrow. It's the Mitch Lions Wealth poll question of the day. Go to his website, MitchLionsWealth.com, or call him 866-85-STEEL. That's 866-85-STEEL to make sure you're getting the best retirement advice you can get out there. So Dan Campbell believes, and the Lions believe, stop it. Let's find a way to stop it. There are so many teams, and the Packers led this proposal, but there are so many teams who feel like it's an unfair advantage. And as we said yesterday, I'm still looking for the answers to why. Why is it an unfair advantage? I also hear many people saying it's not a football play. Explain to me how a guy snaps the football with men on the line of scrimmage, all wearing pads and helmets like they do in other plays, snaps the football to a quarterback. The quarterback moves forward. 2 guys push him from behind. All of it legally. How is it not a football play? You may not like it, but don't say it's not a football play. It is. That's why it's allowed. How do you stop it? I don't know. I really don't. That's for people who are defensive coordinators who are supposed to have that ability. Now, you can say it's a bit of a disadvantage for the defense. Absolutely it is. There's a lot of disadvantages for the defense. There's a disadvantage for every cornerback in football on every single play. You know what the disadvantage is? The wide receiver knows where he's going, and the cornerback doesn't. You know what another disadvantage is? You can't put your hands on him, technically, until once he gets 5 yards by or off the line of scrimmage. So all these things are disadvantages. You deal with it. You find ways to handle it. Lions have to do the same thing. Dan Campbell doesn't have a problem with it. Many other teams do have a problem with it. It's just one more thing they're going to have to worry about. Oh, well. Do it yourself. Find a way to get it done. I'm glad they voted it. It's not like I love the play. I just get tired of the whole, you know what? This isn't fair. Boo hoo hoo. Let's find a way. Let's just get rid of it instead of adjusting to how you stop it and take that away from them. And as we said yesterday, we've seen plenty of offenses come up with different ideas and defenses coming up with different ideas on how you beat them. The Buddy Ryan defense of the Chicago Bears, right? The Tampa 2, that was a difficult thing to adjust to for many offenses. They didn't ban it. Find a way to fix it. It's absolutely crazy. Hey, I was on social media the other day, and it's been Paul Skeens has been pretty outspoken about his frustrations with Pittsburgh. They've already fired Derek Shelton. Don Kelly, baby, then takes over as interim manager, gets ejected a few times, but it hasn't helped Pittsburgh at all. They continue to struggle. This is what that team does, unfortunately. Every year you go into a season, for the most part, and the Pittsburgh Pirates are viewed as a team that they're just going through the motions. I think there's too many teams in baseball like that. It's such a long season that when you see how many teams are handled poorly, and not that the league can do anything about it. What do you do about an owner who doesn't know what he's doing, or a front office that doesn't know what he's doing, or making bad draft picks, or making bad trades? Colorado, Nolan Arenado, paying him the amount of money they are just for him to play for somebody else. It's ridiculous. The Moneyball line. No, Dave, I'm actually paying half your salary. The Yankees are paying the other half for you to play against them. So let's be real here. Could be a line from, just the movie. Maybe it was true. I don't know, but it's a pretty good line that everybody remembers from Moneyball. Well, somebody on social media put together a bunch of different scenarios that would send Paul Skeens to one specific team and what they would need back. And one of them was, of course, the Detroit Tigers. Do you need it? Loved it. Who wouldn't want Paul Skeens? I mean, if you had Skubal from the left side, Skeens from the right side, you throw in Jack Flaherty, you throw in Jackson Jobe, you throw in Casey Mize, it's the best rotation in all of baseball. Am I wrong there? I don't think that's an extreme take at all.
No.
Right.
The rotation's already strong as it is.
When healthy. Yeah.
When healthy, yeah.
Yeah.
Banged up right now, but
when you go in there and you see that type of talent, there's no your offensive lineup. There's not much of a breadth. I mean, the breadth would be obviously, Jackson Jobe, but Jackson Jobe's got really good stuff. He's still learning to use it, still learning to corral it, if you will. So that's one of the things that you're talking about. Casey Mize, now that his splitter is getting all kinds of swings and misses, which is the thing that made him so effective at Auburn, comes to the major leagues, comes to the professional level, and was not able to control it, could not throw it the way he was. You're not always throwing it for strikes. What you're doing is you're throwing it to make it look like a strike. That's the first and foremost. When players are in the box, when batters are in the box, and they're looking and they're spitting on pitches right away, it's not fooling them. You know that you don't have the right either rotation, break, location, all the above, okay? Casey Mize has helped that cause with his splitter now. That's a huge reason why he's 6-1 and a massive reason on why he's been so damn effective. But if you had Paul Skeens in there, it'd be like, oh, come on, lights out. They would be the prohibitive favorite, I would guess, to go to the World Series and maybe even win it when you have those types of arms back to back to back to back. Okay. So the proposal, and this is off a BR walk-off website, where they say the trade proposal would be Skeens to Detroit for Max Clark, who's the number 1 prospect, Kevin McDougal, the number 2 prospect, and Theron Lorenzo, the number 5 prospect. And, I try not to take too many of these things too seriously, but I do like to hear what people say. I do like fans' opinions on things. We like them on this show when we can get them through the Meyer hotline at 866-838-4843. And we love them via the text at Sports Radio 21,000. So you look through this and you hear what people are saying. The Tigers would be giving up way too much. That would be great if they got Skeens, but I wouldn't want to give up that much. Worst trade idea ever. Tigers would not make that trade. As a Tigers fan, no. All these different things, right? And I'm thinking, why? That's the first thing that comes. Why do we feel? You've got young players, right? Why do we feel like guys who are playing at high A are extremely valuable like this? What is it that we've watched, and most of it's none, what is it that we've watched that would make us say, I don't want the best right-handed pitcher in baseball? In the prime of his career, I don't want the best right-handed pitcher. And you could argue that he's the best pitcher in baseball. I mean, maybe from a right-handed standpoint, you think it's Zach Wheeler. Okay, go ahead. We can make that debate because maybe Skeens doesn't have that, that history just yet. Maybe you feel like it's, Tarek Skubal. That's definitely possible. Okay. He's in that conversation. You wouldn't want the best right-handed pitcher in all of baseball for 3 guys who are prospects, none of which have played past AA. That seems odd to me. You think that's too much? 3 prospects for the best at his position is very strange. And maybe it's because you've got to get, like, I mean, if you think about it, you've got a center fielder in Max Clark, who I seem to like a lot. Haven't seen him a ton. Talked to scouts about him. Like him a lot. Wonder if the power is going to be there. But if he's your future center fielder and a guy who can steal bases too, which is another reason the Tigers have been very good, taking the extra base, more than any other team in baseball. They may not steal a lot of bases. That doesn't mean they're not a good base running team, and we've talked about that before. So you get a guy like that from center field. Maybe you feel like that's the be-all, end-all. You still do have Parker Meadows, who many people did really like a year ago, okay? Maybe it's Kevin McDougal. You view him as your future shortstop.
Kevin McGonigal.
Or Kevin McGonigal, excuse me. That could be the future shortstop. We have seen that act before as well. We've seen young players come up that he's going to be the future fill in the blank. Hasn't always worked out, but maybe it's Kevin McGonigal. Maybe it's the catcher. Maybe it's Lorenzo, where you're like, this guy has got all the tools and so on and so forth. And just a reminder that the Dodgers are arguably the best organization in all the sport, did surrender him for a guy who was less than Paul Skeens. And I'm not saying that's the deal you do. I'm just saying you've got to think through these things. You see, they're the 1, 2, and 5 prospect within your system and among the best prospects in all of minor league baseball. And we think immediately, you can't give up that much. And you sometimes forget what you're getting in return and how good and dominant a pitcher you have. And not just a dominant pitcher, but a guy who can go deep into games, right? And a guy who's in the prime of his career. And the guy you don't have to pay big money to. Answer me this. Let's just say if Tarek Skubal were to leave. We hope not. We hope he wants to stay here. We've said this, that, unless he goes to his agent, unless he goes to Scott BrO's and says, I want to stay here, get the deal done, he's probably going to free agency. And the same people who are chiming in on this type of proposal, and who knows if it would be true or not. Maybe it'd be too much. Maybe it wouldn't be enough. But who knows? The same people who are chiming in on that are the same people going, oh, you can't let him get to free agency because he's not going to resign here. They truly don't believe that the organization is going to pay over $40 million a year for a pitcher, because that's what it's going to take. If he doesn't do that and he goes to free agency and losing, what do you have? What do you have left? Isn't that something you have to at least plan for? I would hope so. I would hope a responsible general manager is not just looking at what he has now, he's looking at the future as well. We say this all the time. In Brad Holmes, we trust. Why? He has the foresight to see what this team is going to need. He drafted 2 guards. He stayed true to his principle. He feels like, you know what? I need one for sure right now. I may need another because Graham Glasgow may not be back, may not make this team, may be injured, maybe is in the final stages of his professional career. So why would I wait if I've got a guy who I feel comfortable with? While we were all saying, you've got to draft for need, he's out there going, I got to draft for what I think this team is going to need as well in the future. If the player I like and could foresee is there. That's the reason he's so good at his job. We are always looking at one specific position, and he's looking at the big picture while we're focused on the small picture. Maybe I would hope the same thing is true for Scott Harris and any good general manager. That's what has to happen. Again, they did this with a lot of teams. It's not just Detroit. They did it with Boston. Okay. Boston would have to give up their number 1, their number 4, their number 5. It's a possible scenario and what the Pirates would want back, keeping in mind all along. I mean, Baltimore, the same thing. They would have to give up Grayson Rodriguez, who's a proven pitcher at the major league level. Kobe Mayo, their number 2. Their number 1, that Sammy Basilio, the catcher. So they're talking about high prospects for every team, not just Detroit. You're getting a number 1 overall pick. You're getting arguably the best pitcher in baseball, for sure the best right-handed pitcher in baseball. A guy who's going to wear the stars and stripes in the Olympics, a guy who started in the All-Star game a year ago, and a guy who everybody goes to watch. You may not think that's important. Some organizations feel at least that's part of it. Look, when Tarek Skubal pitches, I mean, when you buy your tickets, you're like, many people go right to the website and say, all right, what's the schedule? Who are we going to get? We get to see Skubal. That's the way it used to be with Verlander and Scherzer. That's the way it used to be with Morris. That's the way it used to be with Denny McClain. When people say, you know what? We get to go see this guy. That's the guy you want to see. It doesn't mean you won't go to the game. It just means you would love to be able to get to see this guy. And that's who Paul Skeens is, just like who Tarek Skubal is. Our phone number on the Meijer hotline, 866-838-4843. Our text line is Sports Radio 21,000. Speaking of baseball, we had mentioned yesterday about Juan Soto and, slow out of the box and Carlos Mendoza needed to talk with him, moved him down in the lineup. I don't know if you saw, he was facing Garrett Crochet in Boston on yesterday. And he struck out on 3 straight pitches, didn't swing the bat once. So he's been criticized now for not running to second base, walking to first base, and on a single that he thought was a home run, not walking, but jogging, right? Moved down in the lineup, and then 1, 2, 3, you're out. Didn't swing. Second at bat, didn't swing. Struck out on 4 pitches. Amazing. And you wonder if it's at some point where he's disgruntled and if that team has any regrets. It's probably too early, way too early. But when you have $765 million invested in a player, you're going to look at things a lot differently than you would a guy who has just been called up or a young player in your system that hasn't reached that elevated status just yet. Again, the Meijer hotline, 866-838-4843. The text line is Sports Radio 21,000. When we come back, an award in the National Football League that I like a lot. How much do you like big guys finally getting recognized the way they should? We'll talk about it when we come back. This hour of X's and Bros proudly brought to you by our friends at Mitch Lyons and MitchLyonsWealth.com.
Saturday, August 23rd, it's the Summer of 99 Tour. Creed, live at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. With special guest Mammoth, WVH, plus Hinder. Tickets start at $56 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. Creed with Mammoth, WVH, and Hinder rock the Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series August 23rd. Showtime 7 p.m. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Huge here for the incredible Crystal Mountain Golf Resort in Thompsonville, Michigan, lower northern Michigan, not a far drive from anybody listening right now. And they offer up stay and play packages that can include golf, a day at the spa, and more. Check them out at crystalmountain.com. That is crystalmountain.com. They also got their Beer and Brat Fest coming up Memorial Day weekend. Get your tickets now and everything you need to know about Crystal Mountain at crystalmountain.com.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the upcoming Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to be launching the center in Farmington Hills this fall. It will provide exercise, therapy, and educational programs that will help the Parkinson's community. Just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality of their clients' retirements, this center will help improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center will be available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right, absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and the caregiver.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact the Kirk Gibson Center will make in the fight against Parkinson's.
Since my diagnosis, I get up every day and focus on winning that day. This center will encourage others to do the same.
Awesome, Gibby. To learn more, go to kirkgibsoncenter.org.
Coming right at you, the excitement you've been waiting for. Eagle Casino and Sports. The mobile casino made in Michigan, made for Michigan. Play slots and table games with live dealers at one exciting site, playeagle.com. Sign up today and get a match deposit up to $1,500. That's right, up to $1,500 plus 100 free spins. Eagle Casino and Sports. Go to playeagle.com and start winning today. Must be 21 or older and in Michigan to play.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 12th through 15th at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
wanted me to do it like last year at some different point, but it's gotta feel right. And it felt right at the time. If it would have been, if I would have known it was a 2, I would not have done it. So I think I might have wasted it. If I do it again, then people might say I'm like aura farming. So I'm not. I don't plan on using it again.
That's Tyrese Halliburton talking about the celebration that he had at the end of regulation. Trent, did you think it was a 3? I thought it was.
Oh, yeah.
3. Yeah. Okay. I thought it was a 3 as well. So in case people didn't see it, I'm sure you'll see it, and I'm going to be surprised that you haven't if you're a sports fan. But he gets the ball, dribbles a little bit right around the right elbow, backs it up, and realizes, you know what, I need a shot here. I thought he was going for the game winner. It sure seemed like that's why otherwise why not shoot from the right elbow, right? So he backs up, top of the key, step back, wasn't the prettiest looking 3, bounces up, comes down. He does the choke sign like Reggie Miller gave to Spike Lee in 1994, and come to find out it's a 2 and it's headed to overtime. That's a bad look if you don't win the game. But it's funny because he doesn't seem like that kind of guy. I get the sense there's a lot of people who don't like him. I don't know why. I mean, I like him a lot.
The players don't seem to like him. They think he's overrated.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, I think there was only 14 votes, but still, yeah. I mean, he was the
leader.
#1. Yeah, he was the leader. I liked him in Iowa State a lot, and I've said this not to pat myself on the back, but that's the guy I wanted the Pistons to take. Apparently, it was much more important to take a kid who played in France, plays left-handed, and can't do anything.
Did you see that Halliburton recently in a podcast said that when Detroit passed on him, he felt that it was personal?
I did not see that.
I can try to find that clip. We can play it later, but it's Halliburton talking about, they asked him, they're like, you fell in that draft. And some of the guys taken ahead of you, you've clearly outlasted and had a better career than. Was there any team in particular that you felt really missed out? And he said Detroit. Wow. As he said, he killed his work out there.
Yes.
And he felt good about it. And they needed a point guard. Yep. And lo and behold, they went with Killian Hayes.
Is that it? Really, that doesn't get enough pub from a Detroit standpoint. We talk about the guys we missed on, and I brought it up. The Donovan Mitchell, okay, the Devin Booker. Thank God we got Luke Kennard. Thank God we got Stanley Johnson. I remember talking to Sean Miller, the Arizona coach at the time, at an event downtown, and I said to him, what do you like about Stanley Johnson? And he said, well, first of all, he's a man, but he worried a little bit because he left after his freshman year. Okay. He worried a little bit about Johnson's ability at the next level to be a consistent offensive player. He said, you know, he'll work hard for you. He'll rebound, he'll defend, but will he be able to get his own shot? And will he be able to be consistent in making that shot? Boy, how right he was. And when a coach tells you that about their own player, that's a huge red flag. No coach is going to dog, no good coach is going to dog his player unless, you know, he had some type of terrible relationship with him. He's not going to, he wants, that helps his program, right? It helps his program to see guys do really well and get drafted highly in drafts. So they're not going to do that. But when a guy says that, that makes you think it's a lot worse than the way he's leading on. You don't understand where I'm coming from? Tyrese Halliburton was out of Iowa State, and he was drafted 12th overall in the 2020 draft. Is a 2020 draft, right? Okay. It's not just Detroit who missed out on him. There are other. That was the draft. Anthony Edwards was number 1. James Wiseman was number 2. LaMelo Ball was number 3. Patrick Williams was number 4. Isaac Okoro, then Onyeka Okongwu out of USC. Atlanta's thrilled with that. Killian Hayes, Obi Toppin. He was a good player at Dayton. I liked him. Jalen Smith was taken ahead. Devin Vassell was taken ahead. That was also the same draft as Isaiah Stewart, I might add, who was taken 16th overall by Portland.
And Sadiq Bey. Pistons also got him in that first round.
Yeah, Sadiq Bey was taken 19th overall by Brooklyn. So not a bad draft in the middle of things. I mean, Sadiq Bey, could shoot the three. Shot the three better than I thought he would, coming out of Villanova. But I mean, you see what I'm saying when it comes to depth. Tyrese Haliburton at 12, that's a really good find at number 12. That was for Sacramento, I might add. He was traded to Indiana. Let me go to the phone lines. The Meyer hotline is open, 866-838-4843. Who do we have on this Thursday morning?
Freddie has some thoughts on the potential Paul Skeens trades.
Oh, hey, Freddie, how are you?
Hey, good morning, Shep.
How are you, buddy?
What's so funny?
The Paul Skeen thing, it was just something off the internet that I'm not trying to take it too seriously, but it is an interesting topic on what it would take, and that they're talking about it already for a guy who's only been there for a little bit more than a year. But go ahead. Excited to hear what you say.
Oh yeah, no, I heard about it yesterday, and I saw it. Listen, one thing I'm in agreement with. We obviously don't know how Max Clark, McGonigal, and Lorenzo are going to turn out. We just don't know. Yeah. We saw Jim Whalewander. We saw Danny Worth. We saw all these guys. So we don't know. But yeah. the hope is fun. And the biggest thing is those are Scott Harris guys. He's trying to build his own team, and eventually they'll be up. And there's no way in double, I would make that trade. And nothing against Paul Skeens, but you already got the best pitcher in baseball. And I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. I still believe personally that I don't think they're going to sign Skubal long term. Whether they trade him in the offseason or let him walk, that I don't know. No one knows. But I don't think they're going to give him that kind of money. Now, if you make that kind of trade, I'm trading for an everyday player. Who that player is, I don't know. But if you're giving up that much hope in three players, I want an everyday player. Somebody at third base, somebody at shortstop, or somebody in right field that can play every day and contribute to the lineup every day versus a guy every 5 days when you already got the best pitcher in baseball. And the last thing I wanted to kind of add is I think they have a backup plan if they don't sign Skubal or trade for another pitcher. Job is a young guy. I think Mize is a year or two away from free agency. They signed Cole Keith early. What about trying to offer these two guys a long-term extension now, and then you could trade Skubal in the offseason. You're saving a couple $100 million. To me, it's just like it's a backup plan. It's a plan. Whether it works or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm trading for an everyday player. So that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, I get it.
Not that much
yeah, I understand it, and I respect it and I appreciate it. The only thing I would say is, and thanks for the phone call, Freddie. Have a great day. Jim Whalewander and Danny Worth were never top 5 prospects. So those examples are a little bit of a reach. If you don't think they're going to re-sign Tarek Skubal, sign him to a long-term deal, you don't think they're going to, then that's the reason you would make a deal. That's number one. I don't know if you were in this camp or not, Freddie, but there was a couple of years ago where people were contemplating trading Tarek Skubal. It happened with Michael Fulmer, if you recall. People wanted Michael Fulmer traded. Oh, my God, we missed out. Tarek Skubal a couple of years before the surgery. Why wouldn't you trade him? You can't trade him. Why not? Because he's going to be too good, all that other stuff. You want everyday players. Look, no offense to Max Clark or Kevin McGonigal or any of those guys, all right? Detroit doesn't, at least on the latest top 100, Detroit doesn't have one pitcher in the top 100 prospects in all of baseball. That is according to MLB.com. That's top 100 in all of minor league baseball. So you're going to need pitching. And if you don't think they're going to re-sign him, if you don't think they're willing to cough up at least $40 million a year, which is what it will take, then that's a reason for you actually trading for a guy. Their backup plan is Jackson Jobe. You need more than one guy like that. You know that. We can't get caught in a silo where we're just thinking, oh, it's one guy's enough. It's not. You're going to need a lot. You've got more depth in everyday players than you do at pitching right now. We're back with more after this. We're brought to you by Meyer in the second hour of X's and Bros.
It's the 2025 WPBA Masters Pool Tournament, June 5th through the 8th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Watch the wizardry during daily sessions as the ladies compete for thousands of dollars in prizes. Plus, enjoy the nonstop play of Soaring Eagle Casino. Tickets now at the Soaring Eagle box office and etix.com. $15 general admission with limited VIP seating available. The 2025 WPBA Masters Pool Tournament, June 5th through 8th. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
You're listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard on the Michigan Sports Network. And if you missed any of today's show, be sure to check out our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you find your podcasts to find the greatest hits from every day's show.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive, boys and girls, high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
18 after the hour. Welcome back, X's and Bros. Just to finish up that conversation, Freddie called in and asked about and talked about the schemes. This website out there made all these different possible connections. If a certain team was to acquire Paul Skeens, his frustration in Pittsburgh starting to boil over a little bit. Who wouldn't, right? And he said, I wouldn't do that deal. I want everyday players. I don't know if people are aware, but if you look at the top 100 baseball prospects for 2025, it fluctuates. All right. So there's nothing etched in stone per se. And, you always have to think about who's really doing these voting polls and ranking these players. But that's what we go by. Okay. When people talk about how good a catcher for the Dodgers is in Dalton Rushing, then they're looking at top 100 prospects, and then you're seeing what they've accomplished and what their ceiling is and so on and so forth. If you look at that, and people are so convinced, you can't give up a guy like Kevin McGonigal, a shortstop for the Tigers. I would just remind you, they do have another guy who's ranked in the top 100 prospects who plays the same position, and his name is Bryce Rayner. And people are really fired up about him, too, and he's at A-ball right now. All right, so he's down in Lakeland. When people talk about Lorenzo and how you don't want to give up the future catcher for this franchise, I would remind you there's actually a guy who is, again, by MLB.com standards, ranked higher than Theron Lorenzo and Jose Briseño. And he's in high A. So he's in West Michigan. Lorenzo's a double A. I'm not going to try and convince you one is better than the other. I'm just telling you the ranking. So when you say, oh my gosh, it's way too much to give up, just remember you have some other players within your system who are pretty good. And as I mentioned, you've got with Clark and McGonigal and Rayner and the two players I just mentioned, those are the top 100. They're in the top 100. There's no Tigers pitchers who are ranked in that top 100 prospects as of right now. Okay, that may change. All right. And it's a deep pool. I mean, it's just the 100 out of all the teams. So think about that. You got to be really damn good to get there. And Max Clark, number 1 for Detroit, number 7 in this situation, based on MLB.com. So tells you something. But we've also seen guys. I mean, Marcelo Mayer has been there for a long time for Boston. People in Boston are probably saying, when are you going to call the shortstop up who's at AAA and was a high first-round pick? Tigers could have had him, didn't. You know what I'm saying? So I guess I would ask you this. If you don't believe they're going to be able to sign Skubal, and we don't know that right now. I mean, based on recent history, what would your gut tell you? Based on the history of this franchise under Chris Ilitch, what would your gut tell you that the Tigers have Derek Skubal in uniform in through 2 to 3 years? Most people would say, I'm not real confident about it. Okay. If that's the case, and you traded him, would you want a team's 1st, 2nd, and 5th overall prospect? If that's what you got in return. When the Tigers traded Justin Verlander to the Houston Astros, are you aware of what they got in return? Do you remember? Jake Rogers is one of them. Okay. They had 3 guys from Houston's deep farm system who were ranked in the top 13 within that system. I don't know if, and that was widely ridiculed, and rightfully so, because you were giving up the best pitcher in baseball, right? Okay. So tell me that. How in the world does Justin Verlander warrant 3 prospects? It's seen as a bad trade, right? It was. How? No, thank you. You don't want that stuff. He was later traded to the Mets for 2 prospects, and most people can't even remember that. So I guess my question would be, yeah, it's probably not enough, but Paul Skeens hasn't been – he's not Justin Verlander yet. right? So you're getting a guy who's considered the best. You got to give up something. You're getting a guy who's considered the best right-handed pitcher in baseball, arguably the best pitcher in baseball, and you're giving up 3 prospects. Tigers fans should feel like, if that were the case, to a certain extent, wouldn't you feel like you kind of got away with one? Because remember, when they traded their ace, they got a number 3, a number 9, and a number 11 prospect. Now, I know it's not 1, 2, and 5. Detroit's farm system is deeper than Houston's at the time. Anyway, Detroit's farm system today, deeper than Houston's was when Justin Verlander was traded in 2017. Right? Is that when it was? I think so. So you look at it that way, you feel like you're almost getting away with something, don't you? Honestly. And we've had Dan Hasty on this show before as a host. He would know how good some of these guys are. He might be a little biased. Who isn't? When they're calling games for a team, of course they're going to be biased. So he's biased when it comes to McGonigal and Clark, and he doesn't know how good they're going to be. He's got an idea, just like we do. The Tigers traded Justin Verlander to Houston for Franklin Perez, who was their number 3 prospect, for Daz Cameron, their number 9 prospect, and Jake Rogers, their number 11 prospect. I know how it turned out. I know how bad it was. I know Franklin Perez never reached the majors. I know Daz Cameron was a role player at best and has been bounced around. And I know Jake Rogers is known more for his defense than he is his offense. I know it was a bad deal. You know it was a bad deal. Everybody in baseball and outside of baseball knows it was a bad deal. And it was primarily because of what? You said, and I remember taking phone calls about this and agreeing with you. Together we said, this is ridiculous. A guy with this talent should warrant more in return, especially when the trade was made, because he had another year left on his contract. You weren't forced to do it. All right. You didn't have forked to nose going, I've got to get this deal done. Otherwise, this guy's going to leave and I'm not going to get anything in return. You got to be careful when you get to a Derek Skubal situation, when you get to that point. I don't even know if Pittsburgh isn't in that stage yet either. So they can hold on. Then this is all just speculation stuff, of course. But I mean, people act like, oh my God, we're giving up way too much. Folks, you thought it wasn't enough what you got in return for Verlander when you traded him, the best right-handed pitcher in baseball. Skeen's the best right-handed pitcher in baseball. You got 3 prospects. It wasn't enough. Now you're giving up 3 prospects and you're saying it's too much. That's crazy. Meyer hotline is 866-838-4843. They sponsor this hour of X's and Bros. When we come back, I promise we will shift gears and we will go to football. The big men starting to get some love. Your thoughts on that when we return after this on a Thursday morning.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 12th through 15th at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Kick off summer with Van Andel Institute's J-Board ambassadors at Around the World on Friday, June 6th. Around the World features fine wine, craft beers, and delectable cuisine from a fleet of local food trucks. Guests will enjoy live entertainment and complimentary valet parking, and 100% of proceeds from Around the World go towards Van Andel Institute's K-12 science education programs. Learn more about Around the World and VAI's J-Board ambassadors and purchase tickets at vai.org.
The stock market has been all over the place, and if you're nearing or in retirement, it's probably got you nervous. Will you have enough to retire? Are you worried about running out of money? Are you sick of hearing, just ride it out? What can you do differently to ensure that you have enough to retire comfortably with an income that's guaranteed to last your lifetime? Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, and I've got great news for you today. I'm a featured expert in a groundbreaking film called The Retirement Deception. This film reveals exactly how you can create a guaranteed income with your nest egg protected from market volatility. Wall Street may not want you to see this film, but I do want you to see it at no cost. That's right. It's absolutely free when you call today. I want you to know the truth about retirement. A secure retirement is achievable. Call today to speak with one of our retirement specialists to get your free copy of The Retirement Deception. Call 866-85-STEEL. That's 866-857-8335. Again, 866-857-8335. Or go to MitchLyonsWealth.com. Your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
There's a new player in town. Hi, I'm Herman Moore, Lions All-Pro wide receiver, and I'm talking about Eagle Casino and Sports, the real money mobile casino. It's so easy to play. You can go from wager to winner to wallet, just like that.
Sign up now and we'll match your deposit up to $1,500. Or you can get a risk-free bet up to $1,000.
Eagle Casino and Sports. Made in Michigan, made for Michigan.
Must be 21 or older in Michigan to play.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
Back with you on X's and Bros Monday through Friday, 6 until 9. 35 after the hour. 1 hour from now, excited to talk with a Boise State football writer from BrO's Nation, BJ Rains. He will join us to break down a little bit more about Ahmed Hassanein and his rise and his ability to get drafted, his story, which is incredible, as a 6th-round draft pick for the Detroit Lions, as a defensive end, and how much you could possibly see him contributing and some of his great characteristics and so on and so forth. BJ covered him for a long time there at Boise, and he will join us at the 8:35 mark here on X's and Bros on this Thursday morning. In case you missed it last night, Tigers over the Cardinals, that was yesterday, 5-1. They win the series. Torkelson 2 for 2, on base 4 times. And that's the thing that's really impressed me about Spencer Torkelson. Yes, the home runs. He's already exceeded the number of homers he had last year. That's a low bar. Who cares? Honestly. I mean, it's great that he's had it early this season, but it's almost like measuring this year's Pistons team against last year. It's stupid to do that. 15 wins. All right, they've got more wins they had all of last year. And I said it too, but okay, you were disappointed with last year. So it's got to be moved way past that. Now, I'm not saying he's got to hit 31 homers like he did 2 years ago, but the expectation, it's easy for me to expect it, but the expectation is that he hits 30 bombs. The expectation that he drives in 90 runs. And he's among all first basemen, American League, National League, all first basemen. He's among league leaders in those 2 key categories. But his ability to draw some walks this year has been really impressive. Dylan Dingler had 2 hits. 5 different guys had RBIs. Tigers won 15-20. Pacers stunned the Knicks, 138-135 in overtime. Tyrese Halliburton hits a step-back jumper to tie it and force overtime. Then they win it in OT. Teams leading by at least 14 points in the final 2:45 of the fourth quarter. So under 3 minutes in the fourth quarter, up by 14. They were 994-0. Since the league began detailing that type of statistic in 1997, that's what the record was until last night. Crazy stuff. Halliburton had 31 and 11 assists. I wonder just a little bit how much that affects New York, how much it affects Indiana. The obvious answer to many would be, well, it's much better for Indiana. New York was really good. New York was a better team probably through 3 quarters. We saw that plenty this year with the Pistons. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander named league MVP. Dallas scores 5 in the third. They beat Edmonton 6-3. They had 3 power play goals in a 5.5 minute span. And they've won 7 straight playoff games at home. Tyleik Williams signs a 4-year deal with the Lions. So the 1st-round pick is on board. And the tush push remains on board in the NFL because the NFL owners failed to get the necessary votes to discontinue that. The Lions were among the teams who voted against the proposed ban. Here's the poll question from the Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question. Do you agree that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander should have been named MVP of the NBA? Yes or no? Vote as often as you like at XP Mornings. We'll give the results in the 8 o'clock hour tomorrow. Let's go to the phone lines. Always want to make sure we get our callers and our texters in as quickly as possible. The Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. Trent, who's up next this morning?
We have Mark wants to chime in on the Scooble discussion.
Hey, Mark. How you doing?
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, sir. It's good to see you, or good to hear you. What's going on?
Good. It's good to hear you, too. Hey, before I got to the Tarek School thing, who do you like better, Rick Carlisle or Bickerstaff? Because Carlisle is unbelievable coach. I couldn't believe they won that game last night. That was crazy.
It was crazy. New York helped them with some turnovers, obviously. It's interesting. I give Halliburton a lot of that love right away because 31 points, 11 assists, and he had that dramatic. How about Aaron Nesmith? I mean, 30 points. So he was incredible too. So Nesmith with the 30 points, just as good. I would say this. I think Rick Carlisle is an unbelievable coach. He's won a championship. He's an unbelievable coach. Did not have a great relationship with him when he was in here in Detroit. For some reason or another, we just did not jive well at all. I remember I was in Seattle getting ready to go on the team bus because I was calling the game, and he wouldn't let me on the team bus. He let my partner
wow.
on, but he wouldn't let me on the team bus. We had it out at practice the following week where I actually had to tell him. I took him off to the side and I said, do you and I have a problem? He said, yeah, I don't like the way you ask questions. I said, can you tell me, give me an example? We got into it pretty good. Not screaming and pointing fingers, but that doesn't mean that I can't acknowledge how good of a coach he is. I think he's a really good coach. I think he's a hell of a basketball coach.
Right.
I would also say, and he may have changed, Mark, but remember, Bill Davidson, who was a really good man, he wanted him out. He wanted him out for a reason.
Yeah.
Okay. But he's found a home in Indiana, and he's been really good.
He didn't like John Barry either at all. I mean, John Barry missed one shot and he was taken out of the game, and Barry would sit on the floor and applaud him. And it's like, I'm not sure what kind of relationship he had with those guys. But anyways, let's get back to Tarek Skubal.
Bickerstaff, by the way, I love JB Bickerstaff, and I've said that for a long time. When they hired him, I thought it was the perfect move. I really like JB Bickerstaff. I think I'd take him on. For this team, I think it's important. He coaches this team.
Yeah. Yep. That's all. It's really funny how many props we've gotten from Cleveland when it comes to. I think we even got Chuck Daly from there, didn't we?
Did, yeah. No, wait.
Yeah.
Chuck Daly. No, I thought Chuck Daly came from Philadelphia. I could be wrong there. I got to check that out.
Oh, I thought.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, but anyways, with Tarek Skubal, I think there's two questions when it comes to the Tigers signing this guy. Are they going to pack the stands this weekend? Are they going to have 150, 160,000 get in there and see if they can beat Cleveland 3 out of 4, sweep them? And secondly, I think what's in their minds is, can they do it without him? And their pitching staff is really good. I mean, yesterday they did that chaos, 6 relievers and a 5-1 game, and Cardinals are tough. So I think that's the two questions. Can they pack the stands? And are they going to be able to do it without Tarek Skubal? Because everybody wants him. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, the Tigers want him. Everybody wants him. But are they going to be able to afford him? If they don't pack that place, if they don't pack Comerica Park this weekend, I don't know if they can afford him. I mean, what are you supposed to do if you don't pack the park when you're the best team in the American League? So I got to get on my bus run. I want to hear your rebut on that. So you have a great weekend.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate it very much. I don't think there's any question they're going to pack the ballpark. I think for the most part, they've had 22 home games, which isn't a lot. So, for example, the Dodgers have had 27. The Yankees have had 25. They're already over 1 million. The Tigers have had 22. They've drawn about 530,000 so far, fewer than Baltimore, fewer than Washington, fewer than Cincinnati, fewer than Atlanta and the Mets, all who have played 22 home games. So a little bit more than Minnesota. I would hope. A lot of it depends on weather. A lot of it depends on when those home games are. If you've got an afternoon, if you got a Wednesday getaway day, it's not the greatest situation for you. But I think this weekend with Cleveland in town, I think you're going to see a lot of fannies in the seats. Can you afford them? Yes, they can afford them. Yes. It's a simple answer. Yes. The Detroit Tigers can afford to pay Tarek Skubal. The question is, will they? Do they want to? To say everybody wants him, everybody wants really good players. Everybody wanted Juan Soto too. Not everybody can afford them. That's the difference. So it's easy for me to spend other people's money, and it's easy for you to do the same. Do you think he's worth over $40 million a year at the age of 30? Those are the things you have to take into account. So before we just run into a situation where it's like, okay, he's the best player we got, I got to have him, I'll just pay him whatever he wants. And I'm not sure you can take that mindset. You have to go based on the market. So we know that. The question now is he worth that much money? Do you feel like he is? Do you feel like this team can they get by without him? Look, Mark, you bring up yesterday, the pitching chaos. and it's fine, I guess. Do you really want that pitching chaos? I don't. That's not something I want to see on a regular basis because I don't think it's sustainable. That's just my opinion, though. Do people, because it works, it's great. When it doesn't work, you're like, we need starters, right? So they've been able to make it work. Are you willing? The highest paid pitcher in baseball this year is Zach Wheeler. Well, it's Shohei Ohtani, but he hasn't been a pitcher because he makes $70 million. But it's Zach Wheeler at $42 million. Jacob deGrom is second at $37 million. Blake Snell signed as a free agent with the Dodgers at $36.5 million. Garrett Cole's at $36 million. Corbin Burns signed as a free agent in Arizona, and it hasn't worked out for him. $35 million. Max Fried with the Yankees, $27.25 million. I'm giving you the range here. You think Skubal's better than Fried? Most people do. You think he's better than Burns? That's a tough one. But a lot of, we as Tiger fans think yes. Think he's better than Blake Snell. He's got 2 Cy Youngs, man. We think he is. Okay. Better than Jacob deGrom. Not when deGrom was in his prime, but now absolutely. $37 million. That's the starting point. If you're an agent, come on, man. Of course, you're going to represent your client. You're going to go in. These are the numbers you're using. You're going to use that piece of paper. You're going to show it to Scott Harris and Chris Ilitch and anybody else who's in the building. And you're going to say, this is where we start. Of course you would do that. And I don't blame you. You should do that. You're derelict in your duty if you don't. I'm going into that office. I'm going, Zach Wheeler makes $42 million. My guy's better. My guy's coming off this, and this. Okay? They want him for Team USA. They want him in an all-star game, triple crown under his belt. This isn't this offseason. And he's going to accomplish big things this year. As long as he stay healthy, that's what you're going to say. And you should. Can this team afford it? Yes, they can. They'll tell you they can't, but they can. Give me a break, man. Would you do it? It's a lot of money for one guy. But it's our guy. So the mindset's a little different. And at the age in which he is, that's the other thing that needs to be taken into account. Fortunately for the Tigers, there's not a lot of innings on that arm. Okay? And I think that's what a lot of people have to look at too. The stress on your arm it's just, you've seen slow-mos of it. It's so intense, right? The good news about Tarik Skubal, there has only been twice in his career where he's thrown more than 149 innings. He threw 149 innings his second year. Last year was a career high in 192. So that's really good news. That means you're getting a guy who can still pitch. He's 28, right? He'll be 29 next year. You're going to get him at 30 as a free agent, or try to sign him. That's the kind of situation that you like to be in, because he doesn't have a lot of wear and tear. Philadelphia, when you got, Zach Wheeler, he's throwing 185. He's throwing 192 in back-to-back years. He's throwing 213 innings. He's getting plenty of innings under his belt. He's thrown over 1,600 innings, and he's making $42 million. And he's off to a 5-1 start. He's a really good pitcher. You can make the argument he's in the discussion for the best right-handed pitcher in baseball. I love him. I think he's awesome. I've always liked him. So I have no problem with him. And he's got receipts too, man. The winning record, the ERA, the longevity, the innings pitched, the WAR. It's a 7.5 WAR pitcher a few years ago. That's pretty damn good. You'll take that. Absolutely. Okay. So you could almost understand, put that in perspective, 7.5 WAR. Last year, Tarik Skubal was 6.4 WAR. That's how good Zach Wheeler has been in his career. Will you spend more than $42 million a year? Do you believe the Tigers would do that? Those are some of the questions that remain unanswered right now. We want them answered, but they remain unanswered. Our phone number, and thanks for the phone call, Mark. Our phone number on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. I wanted to pivot to football here, but we're up against it. There's an award out there that is that is now going to take flight in the NFL, and I'm pretty fired up about it. And it's called the Protector Award. There's a new Protector Award that's going to start in 2025. And what I like about it is that it's another award to honor the big guys up front. If I said to you, well, how about this? You and your friends, a lot of this has to do with fantasy football, but you and your friends oftentimes debate what about the National Football League and positions. You debate who's the best quarterback. You debate who's the best running back. You debate who's the best wide receiver. And maybe, like, you're not talking about kickers. You don't give a damn about kickers. You might argue who's the best corner or the best pass rusher. That's possible. I don't know how deep you go with some of the knowledge about cornerbacks. That might be a little bit of a stretch, but I'll guarantee you that you are often, probably at least once a week, if you're a football geek, like many of us are, if you're a football geek, you are talking about the offensive guys. Who is the best? Now, last year, we did get into the conversation about safeties only because we thought Kirby Joseph was better than Xavier McKinney. Kirby Joseph had more interceptions, Shep. Gosh darn it. Yeah, but he didn't have as many tackles. I know, but, well, you know what? He had more pass defended. Okay. So we had that conversation for sure. I don't know how many people are monitoring how good Marlon Humphrey is, or Byron Murphy, or Dante Jackson. So when Trent and his buddies get together for their fantasy football draft and they go up north and they play a weekend full of golf and then they do the draft, I doubt many of them are discussing the importance of Derek Stingley Jr. as a cornerback for Houston. I think they're focused on QBs, running backs, wide receivers. This award now acknowledges some of the guys up front who give those quote-unquote skill position players a chance to really earn those types of discussions and types of money that they do. I'm really excited about it because there's at least one Lion who will be in the discussion. We'll try and carry that conversation into the 8 o'clock hour when we come back here on X's and Bros. We're brought to you this hour by our friends at Meyer on the Michigan Sports Network.
It's the 2025 WPBA Masters Pool Tournament, June 5th through the 8th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Watch the wizardry during daily sessions as the ladies compete for thousands of dollars in prizes. Plus, enjoy the nonstop play of Soaring Eagle Casino. Tickets now at the Soaring Eagle box office and etix.com. $15 general admission with limited VIP seating available. The 2025 WPBA Masters Pool Tournament, June 5th through 8th. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive, boys and girls, high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the upcoming Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to be launching the center in Farmington Hills this fall. It will provide exercise, therapy, and educational programs that will help the Parkinson's community. just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality of their clients' retirements. This center will help improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center will be available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right, absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and the caregiver.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact the Kirk Gibson Center will make in the fight against Parkinson's.
Since my diagnosis, I get up every day and focus on winning that day. This center will encourage others to do the same.
Awesome, Gibby. To learn more, go to kirkgibsoncenter.org.
You're listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard on the Michigan Sports Network. And if you missed any of today's show, be sure to check out our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you find your podcasts to find the greatest hits from every day's show.
There's a new player in town. Hi, I'm Herman Moore, Lions All-Pro wide receiver, and I'm talking about Eagle Casino and Sports, the real money mobile casino. It's so easy to play. You can go from wager to winner to wallet, just like that.
Sign up now and we'll match your deposit up to $1,500. Or you can get a risk-free bet up to $1,000.
Eagle Casino and Sports. Made in Michigan, made for Michigan.
Must be 21 or older and in Michigan to play.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The Huge Show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
When you punch us back, we're going to smile at you. And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off.
Home run! Home run! He hit it a mile! Let's give them the keys to the Hall of Fame, but not tonight. Tonight they are in the Stanley Cup. Steve Eiserman, come get it.
It feels like cool. Heaven must be lying. I got one question for you, Michigan Nation. Who's got it better than us?
Right center field. That's got carry. It's gone. Number 500 and history for Miguel Cabrera.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Yes. This game is over.
Those puck they jump. They score. Red Wings win.
Detroit basketball.
You bet. Detroit basketball. We wish they were still playing. The team that knocked them out was knocked out last night in overtime in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Welcome to the final hour of X's and Bros here on the Michigan Sports Network. I'm Matt Shepard. Glad you're with us. Incredible night of sports, quite honestly. Not that the Tigers beat the Cardinals 5-1, but the fact that the Pacers used overtime to shock the Knicks 138-135. Tyrese Halliburton hits the game-tying shot to force it in overtime at the buzzer. Then Indiana takes care of business. They do a really nice job with 31 points and 11 assists from Halliburton. New York was up 14 in the final to 50. They had a winning percentage with under 4 minutes to go of 99.8%. Pacers used a 23-9 run to close it out in regulation and then win it in overtime. So many different statistics and so many different firsts in this game. Specifically, teams leading by at least 14 points in the final 2:45 of the fourth quarter were 994-0. And now Indiana is up 1-0 after bucking that trend. Amazing. Stanley Cup playoffs were amazing. Edmonton seemed to control everything until Dallas scored 5 times in the third. They had 3 over 3 power play goals in a 5.5-minute span. They win it 6-3. Stunning turn of events there in the third. I guess the lesson is stay out of the damn penalty box. But Dallas had been really struggling on the power play until last night, and now they've won 7 straight at home. They're up 1-0. Lions have signed first-round pick Tyleik Williams to a 4-year contract worth $16.5 million. So that's good. He'll be in the middle of that Lions defensive line. They're hoping one of the guys on the outside will be Ahmad Hassanin, and we're going to talk about him at 8:35 with Bronco Nation, Boise Bronco Nation, not Western Michigan, but Boise Bronco Nation writer BJ Rains. He's going to join us to tell us what the Lions have with their 6th-round pick. And speaking of the NFL owners failed to get the necessary votes to discontinue the tush push. The proposal needs 24 votes. They had 22. So it wasn't enough. The Lions were one of those dissenting voices. They said keep it in, along with the Eagles, obviously, the Ravens, the Jets, the Patriots. They were all against the rule. And you're going to see it at least for another year. Here's the poll question, the Mitch Lions Wealth poll question. Do you agree that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander winning the MVP over Nikola Jokic? You can vote yes or no and vote as often as you like. And we'll give you the results in the 8 o'clock hour tomorrow. It's an interesting battle there between the two. You hate to say one is necessarily better than the other. Gilgeous-Alexander led the league in scoring. His team is the number 1 overall seed. There's a lot of things that you can look at the shooting. He shoots better than 51% from the floor. He had a career high in 3-point shooting. He's an amazing player. I would just remind people this, and there's nothing they can do about it now. But Nikola Jokic, who finished second, becomes the first player since Larry Bird to finish top 2 in the MVP voting in 5 consecutive seasons. So he won it in 21, won it in 22, finished second in 23 to Giannis Antetokounmpo. 24, he wins it, finished second to Joel Embiid in 23. My apologies. Finished first in 2024, finished second this year. Averaged a triple-double. First time in his 10-year career. He averaged a triple-double. It's amazing how consistent he has been. It's amazing how good he has been this year. And yet it's still not good enough. Dude averaged 29, a career high, 29.5 points. He averaged almost 10 and a half assists and averaged almost 13 rebounds. Led the league in player efficiency rating, but it still wasn't enough to unseat Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who won rather comfortably. I mean, Jokic only garnered 29 first-place votes. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander garnered 71 first-place votes.
How much of that do you think is voter fatigue? Not saying it's right, but you know,
that's a great question.
Inevitably, I feel like some of these voters were just like, he's never won it before. Let's give it to him.
No, I think you're right. I've said this ad nauseum. That's the hard thing. I think MVPs and guys who are looking for 2 in a row, in which Jokic, as I just mentioned, has done that once in his career, 21 and 22. It's the reason what Wayne Gretzky did was just mind-blowing, because you're not competing against, you're competing against the other great players. So in this case, it was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander competing against Nikola Jokic and Giannis Antetokounmpo, who finished 3rd, and Jason Tatum, who finished 4th, Donovan Mitchell, who finished 5th. It's those guys. But you're also competing against yourself. Jokic was competing against what he has done last year, the year before that, the year before that. You've got to outdo it. Now, he did outdo it. That's the crazy stuff. He did outdo all those numbers. That's a triple-double, average a triple-double. Could you have imagined years ago where we go, this dude averages a triple-double, including 29.5 points. This is not 10, 10, and 10. Not that there's anything to scoff at with there. But those are huge numbers, right? And he doesn't win the MVP. It's mind-blowing.
I remember in 2017 when Russell Westbrook won it. That was like one of the biggest reasons people voted for him, was because he averaged a triple-double.
Yeah.
Flash
Now
forward
it's
less than
like
a decade.
A foregone conclusion with him, with Jokic.
It is.
Honestly, when you look at the box score and Denver's there, where do your eyes go? They go to Jokic. I like Jamal Murray. I do. I like him a lot. You like Christian Brown? Okay. You like Russell Westbrook off the bench? Okay. But your eyes go to Jokic, and you go points, rebounds, assists. What did he have? At least that's where my eyes go. Cade Cunningham, in case you were wondering, finished what? Was it 7th?
7th.
It was Gilgeous-Alexander, Jokic, Antetokounmpo, Tatum, Mitchell, LeBron James, Cade Cunningham. He got a total of 12 points. For as good as he was, that's how, and he'll be all NBA, probably 3rd team. But overall, the national media looked at it and they said 7th. Jalen Brunson, who's going to be an all NBA guy, he was way down the list. He was like 11th, something like that. Anyway, so there's your poll question, the Mitchell Lions Wealth poll question of the day. Again, vote as often as you want. We don't monitor how many times you're voting. That's fine. It's no problem. By the way, last night I just brought up Jalen Brunson, and then we'll move on to football here. How did the Knicks acknowledge after the game that they let up defensively late in the game? The reason it blows my mind is for, well, 2 things. First of all, Tom Thibodeau is a defensive-minded head coach. Second of all, shouldn't the Knicks have learned that what they did against Detroit, what they did against Boston, you can't let up? We're always asking our young people in life, our kids, learn from your mistakes, learn from your experiences. How do the Knicks not learn from, this isn't something that happened 5 years ago. This is something that happened last week to them. This is something that should be fresh in their mind. How in the world does Josh Hart come out and say, defensively, we let off the gas? The intensity and physicality were not there. That was crazy. When we come back, I do want to dive into the offensive line award regarding the National Football League. I think it's great. I want to see more of it, and I'm excited to get your feedback here on X's and Bros. We're brought to you this final hour by our friends at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Imagine this, a day filled with indulgence, bursting with excitement, and packed with extraordinary moments that build memories to last a lifetime. A day that is unmistakably yours. at the place that is undeniably spectacular. Whether you're winning big, dining lavishly, or relaxing oh so comfortably, it's your getaway reimagined at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
The stock market has been all over the place, and if you're nearing or in retirement, it's probably got you nervous. Will you have enough to retire? Are you worried about running out of money? Are you sick of hearing, just ride it out? What can you do differently to ensure that you have enough to retire comfortably with an income that's guaranteed to last your lifetime? Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, and I've got great news for you today. I'm a featured expert in a groundbreaking film called The Retirement Deception. This film reveals exactly how you can create a guaranteed income with your nest egg protected from market volatility. Wall Street may not want you to see this film, but I do want you to see it at no cost. That's right. It's absolutely free when you call today. I want you to know the truth about retirement. A secure retirement is achievable. Call today to speak with one of our retirement specialists to get your free copy of The Retirement Deception. Call 866-85-STEEL. That's 866-857-8335. Again, 866-857-8335. Or go to MitchLyonsWealth.com. Your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
Coming right at you. The excitement you've been waiting for. Eagle Casino and Sports. The mobile casino made in Michigan, made for Michigan. Play slots and table games with live dealers at one exciting site. PlayEagle.com. Sign up today and get a match deposit up to $1,500. That's right, up to $1,500 plus 100 free spins. Eagle Casino and Sports. Go to PlayEagle.com and start winning today. Must be 21 or older and in Michigan to play.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The Huge Show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
X's and Bros, Monday through Friday, 6 until 9, 18 after the hour. Welcome back. Bottom of the hour, BJ Rains joins us at 8:35. He's a writer for Bronco Nation, covers Boise State, knows Ahmad Hassanin pretty well, and he will give us kind of a scouting report on the Lions' 6th-round draft pick. I do like what the NFL has announced recently. I don't like the flag football thing, but I do like the new protector of the year. And that was announced. And yesterday, I was kind of doing some reading, and they were contemplating on various websites who would be in the conversation for this. And of course, Penei Sewell's name was brought up. Laramie Tunsil's name is brought up. Deion Dawkins for the Bills, Trent Williams for the Niners, Lane Johnson for the Eagles, who probably would be that number one guy. I think it's interesting when it comes to football, as much as we love it, how we almost ignore those guys up front. There are big names. We know who Anthony Munoz was, John Hanna, if you ever remember back in the 70s, how good of a player he truly was. I mean, he was a legend for the New England Patriots on some really bad teams. Bruce Matthews. You give me a guy like Bruce Matthews, I'm going to win for a long, long time. Willie Rofe, who was a tackle for the New Orleans Saints, right? Larry Allen, Zach Martin, who came out of Notre Dame, loved him, really good pick by the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones has done a lot of things wrong, but that was a really good pick, right? Back in the day, Jim Parker and Joe Thomas, of course, we all know, Mike Webster, Steve Hutchinson. We could go on and on and on. Dermontti Dawson. There's so many good offensive linemen in the history of football. Jonathan Ogden. Orlando Pace, that don't always get the notoriety until after their career is over. I don't know how many people know who Jim Otto is. Jim Otto was one of, if not the best center of all time, played 15 years with the Oakland Raiders. He was a 10-time All-Pro selection. One of 3 players to play in every one of his team's 140 games during the AFL. Was he as good as Mike Webster? Those are things that, probably smarter people than I can debate. But Mike Webster was considered, one of the greatest offensive linemen of all time. He made 150 consecutive starts. It is kind of interesting. And football is probably the only sport where we go old school and we don't get any pushback. If I go old school in baseball and I bring up Bob Gibson and Nolan Ryan and Steve Carlton and Sandy Koufax, people are like, oh God, here we go again. It's a different game, right? All this other stuff. I know linemen are much bigger now than they used to be, but if I go old school and I say Mike Webster, people go, yeah, I get it. Yeah. And he wasn't a big guy. He was agile. He was unbelievable. 9 Pro Bowls. Okay. 8 All-Pro teams. How do you debate that? And it's not like he's going up against wimps. It's not like he's going up against guys. This is not the Wilt Chamberlain comparison back when he played and he was just bigger and taller than everybody else. He's going up against guys like Alan Page and Carl Eller and Jim Marshall. He's going up against badasses, all-time badasses. If you go old school in football, people actually encourage it. People like it. People are like, yeah, I great comparison. That's cool, man. I remember Fran Tarkenton. Sure, that was awesome. Lynn Swann was special. Oh, yeah, Chuck Foreman. That dude, I loved watching him run the football. Larry Zonka was the ultimate fullback. Those are the things you get. Those are the conversations that you have with football in old school. You go old school in some of the other ones, if I bring up Kiki Vandeweghe in basketball, people are like, I don't think so, right? Today's day and age, so much better. Same thing with just about every single sport. My son and I had that debate last night. He's like, Connor McDavid might be the greatest player of all time. I started to laugh. I love him. I think I'm mesmerized by him skating. He looks like he's skating around pylons, and they're NHL players. He's incredible. But I'm like, come on, man, what are you talking about? Do I have to remind you of certain players? And one of the players I brought up was Sidney Crosby. And my son's like, Sidney Crosby, what are you kidding me? I said, look at Sidney Crosby. And he's not even old school. Not yet. So we compared stats, and actually my son was probably more right than I was when it comes to greatness because of what McDavid has been able to do so far. But you can get pushback you do that in football outside of maybe wide receiver, right? I mean, people say, Steve Largent, would he really have a place on anybody's roster today? Dude can catch. That's what I know. He ran great routes, and he caught everything within his arm span, right? I'm not going Lance Allworth back to the old Charger days, okay, with John Hadel and one bar across the mask or one bar across the helmet throwing him passes. I'm just telling you, there are certain guys, their skill set does translate. He was never fast. He wasn't fast then. He wouldn't be fast today. It doesn't really matter. But you start talking about old school football players, old school linemen. Yeah, people get it. People are like, yes, I would definitely have wanted a player like, bring up an old name. Like I said, Jackie Slater, Gene Upshaw, for crying out loud. Let's get to the final results of our poll. I'm just glad that they're honoring some of those guys up front because I think they need to be. And it's been far too long. All the old school, if you look back on ABC Sports, Wide World of Sports, they had the Battle of the Stars. And they would invite different athletes from different sports. And sometimes they would even bring in entertainers, but different athletes from different sports, and they would compete against things other than their specific sport. So Wayne Gretzky he's gonna run against Pele, for example. They're not playing soccer because we know how Pele would dominate, and they wouldn't play hockey because we know how Gretzky would dominate. So they're participating in other sports. All right. How many times did you ever see a lineman? You didn't. You're seeing the guys who are quote unquote the skilled players in football anyway. It actually was a pretty cool show. I don't know if you've ever seen clips of it, but it's a really cool show. All right, let's get to the final results of our Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question of the day from yesterday. Here's what we asked you. Would you ban the tush push in the NFL? 22 teams did, but it wasn't enough to get it across the finish line. You will see it in Philadelphia and perhaps in other places now that it's getting more notoriety, and it is going to stay in the NFL for at least one more year because you needed 24. You only got 22. Would you ban it if you were an owner? What did the masses say, Trent?
55% agree with Dan Campbell and say no, keep it. 45% say they would ban it. So close, but more people lean towards keeping it. How much of that do you think is because a lot of our voters are Lions fans and they are aware that the Lions have the O-line potential to run that play?
I don't know. I thought you were going to say, how many do you think are Lions fans and they just voted with the coach? I don't even know if they know how the coach voted.
Oh, that could be true too. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they go that deep. I'm glad people voted that way. I don't know. Detroit doesn't run it.
Yeah. Well, you can't really with Goff. You'd have to do it with maybe David Montgomery back there on a Wildcat or something like that.
Well, you don't do Wildcat. Tush push is under center. You don't do Wildcat. Why couldn't you do it with Goff, do you think? You're sneaking forward and you're pushing him.
At that point, though, if it was 4th and 1 or 3rd and 1, you'd just as soon as hand it off to David Montgomery, I feel like. You wouldn't run it with Goff. But you can run it with Hurts, obviously.
Yeah, but it doesn't require much. I mean, it's not whether the quarterback is shifty or can run. You're just pushing him forward. I think you can run with anybody. Hell, they run it with tight ends. Travis Kelce's run that play. Yeah. Why is Travis Kelce available and okay to do it with Jared Goff? I'd like to see the Lions do it. Why not? Give it a shot.
I bet you they will.
Yeah, and bring in Dan Skipper as a fullback.
Yeah, there you go.
How about the daily wager? How'd it go?
Not good. Gleyber Torres over 1.5 bases. He didn't reach base. So we're looking for a win tonight. So I will just take Tigers Guardians over 7.5 runs.
You need it for the week so far.
Really need it.
3 on the week, but you'll get
We're hurting.
When we come back. Ahmad Hassanin, the 6th-round pick. We will talk about him with BJ Rains, the publisher of Bronco Nation, next.
Coming right at you. The excitement you've been waiting for. Eagle Casino and Sports. The mobile casino made in Michigan, made for Michigan. Play slots and table games with live dealers at one exciting site. PlayEagle.com. Sign up today and get a match deposit up to $1,500. That's right, up to $1,500 plus 100 free spins. Eagle Casino and Sports. Go to PlayEagle.com and start winning today. Must be 21 or older and in Michigan to play.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to Shep. Don't forget the huge show later today at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.
Imagine this, a day filled with indulgence, bursting with excitement, and packed with extraordinary moments that build memories to last a lifetime. A day that is unmistakably yours, at the place that is undeniably spectacular. Whether you're winning big, dining lavishly, or relaxing oh so comfortably, it's your getaway reimagined at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 12th through 15th at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
Back with you on X's and Bros, 35 after the hour. Glad you're with us on this Thursday morning. BJ Rains has won 4 different awards as Idaho Sports Writer of the Year. He's a publisher of Bronco Nation, and he covered Ahmed Hassanin, the 6th-round draft pick of the Detroit Lions, and he joins us here on X's and Bros. BJ, we appreciate the time very much. When somebody asks you what kind of player the Lions are getting in the defensive end out of Boise State, how do you respond to that?
Oh, I mean, I think you can go a lot of different ways, but certainly getting, an intriguing one, I think, to say the least, just in terms of everybody knows his story and just how much better I still think his ceiling is on football. But you're going to get a guy with a high motor, a guy that's never going to take a play off. I mean, a guy that's going to give everything he can for his team and a productive player as well with what he can do rushing the passer and he's an even better person off the field too. So you're getting a very high character kid that, on a quote unquote lower scale kind of is the total package. I mean, obviously he did it at Boise State, not at a Power 5 school, so to speak, but, it's really hard to find a lot of negatives when you talk about Ahmed Hassanin.
Why do you think it should matter, if at all, that he doesn't come from a Power 5 school? You can do the job, you do the job, and he seemed to be able to do that. Why do you think that should matter, if at all?
Oh, I don't think it should. I mean, certainly if you can play, you can play. I just think he was, relatively, I don't know, unknown's the right word, but like I said, just came over from Egypt, didn't play a lot of, football previously before Boise State, and then obviously, took some time to get to, his where he was kind of a national guy, and being a 5-year college player. Obviously was just a guy that took some time to develop and was a little raw but the last 2 years, what he's done out there is, starting edge for a team that made the college football playoff last year. I mean, he was certainly a guy that was a team leader and a team captain. And, like I said, the numbers that he put up, some people, I get it. They can say what they want. I mean, they said it about Ashton Genty for a while,
right.
He came from Boise State. But I mean, you watch the tape, you put on the film, he's certainly a guy that I think could do that. He could have done numbers somewhere else. And like I said, I think he was just a guy that needed a team to give him a chance and let him get his foot in the door. And I think the Lions fans are going to learn to love Ahmed for sure.
As a freshman in 2021, he was just 9 games, primarily a special teams guy, maybe as a reserve. How did he improve from 2021, where he didn't play, to becoming first team All Mountain West in his junior and senior year? And what areas do you think he was most improved?
Well, I think, I don't know the exact numbers, but I mean, I think he put on some weight. I think he was a guy, like I said, that really, everybody knows his story coming from Egypt, but just hadn't played a lot of football. He was just a raw player, and just was learning a lot about techniques and how to do different moves and different things, and how to practice and how to care for his body. And it was just a big time adjustment. I mean, he obviously, they just didn't have the experience. I mean, there's guys he's going up against that have played, Pee-wee football since they were 5-6 years old. So he just was a very raw player, was kind of learning on the fly a lot of the rules and a lot of the different things and techniques, and he just needed some experience, needed some time to get used to the game and get his confidence going. And he was just certainly a guy, like I said, that just got better and better and better. And even as a true sophomore, coming in and getting some action, even more action, getting some starts and making some, I think he had a sack that year and just doing some things. And then the last 2 years, something just clicked. And I think part of it was some other guys moving on and him getting more of an opportunity for playing time. But just something clicked before that junior year. And to be, the back-to-back first team All Mountain West players and, do what he did, it was super impressive. But like I said, I think the best is still to come. I mean, he's had two great years, but I think he's still just kind of scratching the surface in terms of the type of player that he can be. I think his ceiling is just so high because he's still, in football terms, is just a very, very raw, young football player, and I think is only going to continue to get better here.
BJ Rains joining us here on X's and Bros. He is the Boise State beat writer, show host, and publisher of Bronco Nation, 4-time Idaho Sports Writer of the Year. When you talk about leadership, and I love that, and I love that Brad Holmes feels like that's really important too, right? The general manager of the Lions has done so many things well in identifying talent, not just on the field, but guys who fit well in the locker room. But BJ, you know as well as I do, covering sports as long as we have to combine together, that everybody leads in different ways. What kind of leader is he, do you think?
He's certainly a vocal leader, and he's also a lead by example leader. But I mean, he was certainly a guy that would be out there, firing guys up in the huddle and saying what needs to be said at different times. And he was one of those guys that you never had to worry about, checking the police records and things like that, on Sunday mornings. Wasn't a guy that went out drinking, wasn't a guy that went out partying, was a guy that was watching more tape. And he was a guy that, when the game ended on a Friday or Saturday night, he wasn't going out partying. He was downloading the film to his iPad and going home and rewatching the game and rewatching his clips. And, he just, he really was a guy that, like I said, led by example on and off the field, and, went to church, was a Christian guy, is very strong in his faith, and was quick to always, make that known publicly, during interviews and things like that. But certainly was a guy that, when they had that pregame huddle, he's out there leading them in the middle and saying what needs to be said. And then he's a guy that, like I said, in the Penn State game, in the Fiesta Bowl, he was hurting pretty bad. He did something. I'm blanking now on what it was. I think it was his shoulder, but he had a minor injury that is fine. But he just did something in the middle of the game, but yet refused to come out. And he'd come out and limp off for a play, and then 2 plays later, he forced the coaches to put him back in there. And just was a guy that just did whatever it took for the team, would play at less than 100%, and would just lead in a lot of different ways. But I would just say he's a very emotional guy. I mean, it was funny when the Lions took him, everybody in Boise right away just kind of went, "Oh my, that's a perfect fit. Oh wow." I mean, that is a perfect fit. Just
why do you think that?
Campbell. And I think Dan Campbell and his personality and his fieriness and his attitude seems like just that it just fits. Like, I mean, everybody saw at the combine, I think it was, Ahmed Hassanin was like just going crazy out there with the coaches in terms of, firing guys up for the drills and things like that. And just, he's one of those guys that you have to like pull off the field, and he's just going to go, "Let's go to 10. Let's do it again. No, let's get it right. Let's do it again." And he's just, again, it doesn't always work, his style, and I get it, but I think the Lions are getting just a guy that's going to work his butt off every single play, is going to give everything he has for the city, for the community, for the team, and for his head coach. I mean, you all saw the video when the Lions drafted him, and he's at his little watch party, and he's literally telling Dan Campbell, "I'll die for you, coach." Yeah. Right there during the phone call. I mean, and that's all you need to know about Ahmed Hassanin. That's not fake. That wasn't something he thought about saying. That was just in the moment, spur of the moment. He's crying. He just got drafted, and that's the coach that gave him his NFL dream. And he's going to do everything to return the favor to that city and that program.
Yeah, and I think he won a lot of Lions fans over right away with that comment. But you still have to produce. At 6'2", 267. Based on your knowledge of history of the NFL and guys you've seen come and go, and you've seen players at the collegiate level excel, but not necessarily always carry that over into the next level. Everybody thought Courtney Brown was going to be a stud. Everyone thought LeVar Arrington was going to be a stud. It doesn't always work that way. Why do you think he can make the transition, and how effective do you think he can be at the NFL level? Is he a rotational guy once in a while? I mean, all defensive linemen are, but where do you view his contribution level?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure he comes in right away and is a star and starts and does all this. And I'd be lying if I said I knew the full depth chart of the Detroit Lions. But certainly, I think he's a guy that is, like I said, his trajectory and career path is just on the ascension here. I mean, he's a guy that, like I said, is gonna, I haven't seen the reports or whatever, but he's the guy that's probably turning on the lights at the facility and turning them off on the way out the door, because he's going to put in the time, he's going to put in the effort, and he's going to continue to work and get better. And like I said, you look at his last 2 seasons, the 12.5 sacks as a junior, and going into last year, I mean, the attention he was getting as a senior, the double teams. I mean, after that junior year that he had, where he kind of became on the national stage, 16 and a half tackles for loss. I think he had at least a half a sack in like 9 straight games, which was the longest like streak in college football in like 10 years. I mean, he was, everybody knew who he was. So last year he was getting double teamed, triple teamed. They were just not letting him get to the quarterback, and he still, I think, was third in the NCAA with like 17 quarterback hits, and some of the other things that he did with the pressures and things. I think he was like 5th in the country in pressures. So my point is, he finds ways to produce even when he's getting double, triple teamed. He found new ways, the different year, and I think he's going to find new ways in the NFL. I think he's going to continue to get better and better. And would it shock me in 2 to 3 years if he's starting and a guy that is making national headlines? No, it wouldn't. I mean, I think it would right away. I think he's going to take a little bit of time. He's the guy on special that'll find his way onto special teams. He's going to find his way on. He's going to find his way onto the field somehow. But I would guess, once he kind of adjusts to the NFL level, once he adjusts to the speed of the game, he's certainly a guy that I think has a chance to have a nice career in the NFL for sure. And I haven't seen the videos or seen a lot of the stuff to this point, but when you talk, it just kind of popped in my head. Like, it wouldn't shock me if he's already the guy that's like, as a rookie on the first day of camp, like, being the guy like leading his team in the huddle. Like, he's not afraid to say something to an older guy. He's not afraid to already, kind of have that presence about him that he's just going to do whatever it takes to help his team. And that, if that's being a vocal leader on the first mini camp as a rookie, he's willing to do that. So he's going to keep getting better and better, and he's only going to get even more, I think, ingrained in the locker room and all that kind of stuff. And once he figures it out, at that level, I really do think the sky's the limit for a guy like him.
Yeah, and that's encouraging news. I always caution people, I'm sure you do too, BJ. I always caution people of being careful of getting caught up in a specific moment about one specific player and their work ethic. I remember I covered Jared DeVries, who was an All-American at Iowa, was a 3rd-round pick of the Detroit Lions and had a very good career. It wasn't a Hall of Fame career, but a very good career. But, was he always the guy who jumped out at you when watching film or watching the game? No, he wasn't, but he was effective and he played for a long time. And we're hoping, and again, nothing against, the conference that Boise State plays in, but when you're a 3-time All Big Ten selection and you're an All-American, there's something to be said there. Sure. And it doesn't always go as planned, even though you're rooting for a guy. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about Ashton Genty, who went 6th overall to the Las Vegas Raiders. Is that about where you thought he would go? Not even necessarily at the beginning of last year, but at the end of last year. I mean, how do you view him helping the Raiders with his skill set?
Well, I want to say one more thing about Ahmed Hassan.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned the lower conference and all that or whatever, and that's why I kind of brought that up earlier. But I mean, they played at number 7 Oregon in the second game of the season. He had 5 tackles and a sack. They played Penn State in the Fiesta Bowl. He had a career high 3 tackles for loss and a sack in that game with 6 tackles. Well, not even being at close to 100%. So in his 2 games against top 10 teams, he had 11 tackles, I believe, and 4 tackles for loss and 2 sacks against Oregon and Penn State. So he proved in the big games too that he can do big things, and he wasn't just putting up stats against Mountain West competition. So
right. No, I
don't think fans really need to worry too much about that aspect of this. And I didn't mean that when I said that earlier. I think it just, those questions just do come from Mountain West players. It is what it is, but I think he's the guy that can do it at any level. He's going to prove it with Genty.
Right. And it's not fair. I might add, it's not fair. I mean, there's too many examples in the National Football League where guys have come from mid-major schools. Max Crosby with the Raiders is a really good example. And mid-major schools, and people are just like, oh, wow. Hey, listen, they're playing really good competition. And the competition that they are playing on a more regular basis, you have to look at and say, are they supposed to dominate? This kid did dominate at that level.
Yeah.
And then when he played up, if you will, he is still performing at a high level. I don't question that at all. I just asked people to keep an open mind. As much as you love the emotion and you love the passion, there are other guys who had that similar type of hype coming out of college with that emotion from big conferences or smaller conferences. And, they had good careers, but they weren't fantastic. But go ahead.
And I guess I would say, with that point, like, I mean, he was also a 6th round pick. I mean, I'm not trying to overhype him as a steal of the draft, and he should have been in the 1st round, and he's the best defensive end in the country. Like, I'm just saying when the value that you're getting for a 6th round pick, I think he has a chance. And I'm not saying he's going on to be a Hall of Fame player by any means, but I think for what you expect to get out of a 6th round pick, a guy that can make your roster and contribute and do some things over the next few years, I think that, he was a guy that could have gone in the 3rd, 4th round, and I would have thought that made sense. For a 6th round pick to get a guy that has 24 career sacks and do what he's done, I think it was a great pick for the Lions, and he has a chance to produce. And I'll just say really quickly on Genty, most fun I've ever had covering sports for a season, because obviously we're not fans of the program. I don't really care if they win. I'm not even from Idaho. But just on the terms of showing up at the stadium every night and not knowing what you're going to see, but knowing you're going to see some sort of greatness. Some of the runs that he had, I mean, you didn't get up to go to the bathroom. You didn't go up to get cotton candy or popcorn, when it was 4th down on the other side, because you knew that it didn't matter if they were at the 1 yard line on 1st down. Ashton Genty could take it 99 yards for a touchdown. I mean, it was incredible, and it was an unbelievable season. Selfishly kind of wish he would have got the 30 yards or whatever it was to pass Barry Sanders in that last game, because he was the kind of guy that just deserved it. But another high character kid that stayed at Boise State and could have gone elsewhere. And Ahmed too. Ahmed had some options. You have that many sacks, 12.5 sacks your junior year. He got offered some big time money and stayed at Boise State like a lot of those guys did. And so Ashton Genty, tremendous player. Looking forward to following him and all these guys, frankly. I mean, Boise State doesn't get I know it's Boise State, whatever, but they've got Khalil Shakir on the Bills. And they've got Cedric Wilson with the Saints. And they had, they've got some DeMarcus Lawrence up in Seattle. And they've, I'm missing some obvious ones. They've got some starting linemen up there with Minnesota with Ezra Cleveland. I mean, they've got, I think 20 plus players or something that are in camps or on NFL rosters. And it's a program that's going to give you a lot of blue collar, hardworking guys that are going to get, just have that right attitude and combination. And I think Ahmed's a perfect example of that. And he's going to do a great job for the Lions.
Amen to that, BJ. I would never say, I know it's only Boise State. Listen, it's major Division I football. These guys can play, period. There's no reason for anyone to precursor that with, I know it's just Boise State or the conference in which they play. They deserve all the accolades that they've gotten, and it's well-deserved. And so do you with your 4-time Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, and we appreciate the time and the knowledge. Have a great weekend. Enjoy all your son's ball games out there, and we'll talk to you sometime down the road, okay?
Hey, you're going to get great TV ratings out in Boise, Idaho there for Detroit Lions games. There's a lot of fans. Boise State fans are very loyal, and there's going to be a ton of Detroit Lions fans here moving forward.
All right, that's a bonus. Thanks, BJ. Appreciate it. As always, BJ Rains, who is the beat writer and talk show and publisher for Bronco Nation, joining us here on X's and Bros. We thank you for your texts and your phone calls. We thank BJ Rains. We hope you're back with us tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock here on X's and Bros.